Before we get started, if you enjoy the show and would like to support us, we have just two things we would like you to check out. Please head to our YouTube channel and subscribe to the show. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we need all the help we can get.
And if you would like to take your support to the next level and get early access to the show, you can come and join us on Patreon. You'll even get a shout out at the end of the episodes. Links to both will be in the show notes.
Right then, Cam, let's get on with the show.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm okay, Cam. How you doing?
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, we're going to kick right off with no messing around with the photography news stories from around the world that have caught our attention. So, kicking off with the Sony Alpha 1 Mark II has just been announced. A banned photographer has been awarded $18 million after being crushed by a forklift. We're going to tell you the best 360 cameras to see in the world around you. Bringing camera gear on a plane, how do you do that? And also the Sony A7 III is now at a remarkable price.
And then later on in the episode, we'll be talking about how a series of selfies led to a killer's conviction. There was a bug in Apple's photo apps that exposes the myth of deleted photos. The Nikon Z50 Mark II is on sale cheaper than its predecessor, which kind of seems crazy. Sony announces the 2870 f2 G Master lens. We've got Hasselblad also announcing the XCD 75mm f3.4 lens, and that's it. Yeah, that's what we got.
Okay, it's a bit of a bumper episode there, isn't there?
Yes.
But
we decided to go through news stories today, didn't we?
That's right. Yeah, we'll keep them short and sharp, guys. Okay, a bit Sony heavy, and we're going to kick off with Sony because Sony Alpha 1 Mark II has just been announced, and it's their latest flagship full-frame mirrorless camera. Aimed at, it says, professional photographers and videographers. Now, the last episode, we mentioned that the Canon R1 had been released and how it was being sort of touted as the world's greatest camera. And suddenly, Sony now announced their flagship model. Now, it doesn't say anywhere that they're saying it's the best camera, but it's going to have some real features that I think Sony is definitely going to be interested in. But the key features of the Alpha 1 Mark II, it says that about the full frame, continue shooting now up to 30 frames per second.
Wow.
AI subject recognition, including a new automatic detection mode. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but up to 8.5 stops of stabilization, 8K video, and it says breathing compensation as well.
Right. Okay. So we can all be snipers then with this. Is that basically what we're saying?
Exactly. That's right. Okay. So price, what do you reckon, Mark? Let's just get straight into the important stuff.
Well,
it is. Bearing in mind, the Canon was, let's say 7,000.
It's 7,000. It could be slightly over 7, couldn't it? But
yeah. What do you reckon?
Well, I reckon it's probably around the same. It's got to be, hasn't it? Because it's the flagship, so 7 or 8, that kind of area. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no. In actual fact, it's just over 6,000.
Oh wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's that's they're trying to undercut Canon then, basically.
Yeah, that's right. It's about, I would say it's probably about £800 cheaper than the Canon R1, which is quite interesting. Now, I'm just going to read very quickly through. It says design and workflow improvements. Sony has made some adjustments to the camera's design based on user feedback, introducing a 4-axis adjustable LCD screen and a redesigned grip and an additional custom button, which yes, I applaud Sony for. Yes, they're a little bit behind the times in introducing those things. Although Sony, I think, certainly at one stage were way ahead of any other company for introducing new things. But cameras like the A7 II and the A7 III, the A7 IIIS were the most uncomfortable cameras, were very sharp edges to them, and they've made those more rounded. And I say that from first-hand experience as well. They've got a vertical grip for extended battery life as well. Here's something that's quite interesting. It says it also supports automatic file transfers to services like Adobe Lightroom and Google Drive via Sony's cloud platform. That's interesting. And it says additional accessories include a new dual battery charger and a padded eyepiece cup. That padded eyepiece cup. Now that's really interesting, Mark, because I've had some of these Sonys and they always fall off. Right? and it bugs the hell out of me. So
Yeah.
I know it says you're having a padded eyepiece cup. Can you please put it on properly so it never falls off? Because I've lost a load of them on my Sony
Yeah.
A7 IIIs and 3S and whatever.
I don't understand why manufacturers do this. I have a similar issue with Canon flash guns. The little rubber bit that's in between the flash gun and the camera, which is supposed to sort of seal it on when you lock it. That bit always falls off. I don't get it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've lost many of them.
Hmm. So yeah, so Sony Alpha A1. Okay, now
Ooh.
quite a sort of a sad story in a way, where a band photographer has been awarded $18 million after being crushed by a forklift at a concert. Now this actually goes back to something that happened in 2021, and it was photographer
Oh,
Jane.
no. Height of
Uh,
COVID.
yeah, Jake Chamsterdine has just reached the settlement for his personal injury lawsuit on November 1st, after following 7 days of trial in the Philadelphia County Court of Common Pleas. And it says the suit stemmed from an incident that occurred with Chamsterdine, who was working as a photographer on Green Day's Hella Mega Tour in 2021. And according to the report by law.com, it says the photographer was attempting to exit Citizens Bank Park, the stadium that is home to the Philadelphia Phillies, after Green Day's concert. As the photographer left the stadium, Tri-State Stage labor employees were removing stage and concert equipment from the venue. And it says in a pre-trial memo, the photographer's lawyers alleged that the Tri-State employee and forklift driver suddenly jumped off the piece of equipment without engaging the parking brake. And according to the
Right.
lawsuit, the photographer was walking on the ramp when the unmanned forklift came rolling down the ramp, crushing him between the lift and a concrete metal post.
Oh, wow.
As a result, the photographer suffered numerous ongoing injuries, including a lacerated femoral artery, broken pelvis, broken femur, and broken lower back. And so he sued over the incident, with multiple defendants named in the litigation.
Mm.
He'd originally, and I'm just reading this from Petapixel, he originally sought $20 million for the injury lawsuit, but the photographer reached an $18 million settlement before he was scheduled to testify in the trial. And it says Live Nation and Tri-State will pay the majority of the settlement, while the remainder will be paid by the Phillies and others. And it does say they do credit Live Nation and Tri-State for doing the right thing in resolving the case before the witness took the stand. It said which would have unnecessarily re-traumatized him. And it says that
I mean,
he's thankful that the trial is behind him, and he thanks his medical team for saving his life and his leg. And he hopes that the lessons about forklift safety are learned from this incident and trial. So
yeah.
something positive may come out of this. I was on a shoot yesterday in a factory, Mark, and it was to put toe detectors on before going in, and everywhere you turned there were risks. You could see it,
Yeah.
and wherever you go, you do have to be aware. We do take health and safety, a little bit. Like we do moan, don't we, about health and safety sometimes? But
Well, this seems like someone left the forklift without securingly braking it. Basically, this is definitely negligence. There's no doubt about it. The only thing there's something I would say as well. We finished up a graduation. It was when we were in New York, and I have to say, that because the room we were in, I think, was some sort of theater room or cinema room, and it had these sort of not stadium seats, because it wasn't a stadium, but these sort of theater seats for people to watch something, and it was like this automatic thing that comes out of the wall. I'm sure you guys have seen this sort of thing, and they were bringing this out before we were fully packed down. Like the workmen from the I'm not sure if it was the campus or whatever. They were just so quick in there that they didn't wait for us to leave the room before they started sort of, setting it all up. And I'm kind of like, are we going to have room to get out here, mate? And he was like, oh, yeah, no, don't worry. And just carried on. And I was like, well, surely just wait for us to leave the room before you start doing all of this. I find that happens quite a lot now. Everyone just seems to have their own agendas and their own timetables, and everyone's got to get things done quickly. And when that happens, stuff like this happens, I reckon.
Yeah, it's we just got to have I think we all need to, depending on what type, well, whatever type of shoot you're doing, we just need to be aware of the surroundings, don't we?
Yeah, we
More
do.
so than ever before. Okay, Mark, I have a 360 camera which I bought years ago, which I think I've only used twice.
Yes.
I don't even know where it is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we do have a list here, don't we, of sort of like list of cameras. We're not going to go through all the reviews on it and whatever. This is from Wired .com. I guess, I mean, I don't see any professional use for it, really. Maybe it's good for marketing and social media and things like that. But I get the impression that these are really for consumers, aren't they, rather than for professionals?
I think so because the professionals are using things like Matterport and for property and interior property stuff, and
Yeah,
that's what I was sort of using mine for, just for a couple of things. In fact, it was during COVID, when no one was allowed to go anywhere, and I had to go and do it for a client, and I had to
yeah,
quickly go out and buy a camera and figure out how to use it, and we got through it. So the ones they're saying, the top five, they're saying, and they're giving them a category to go into.
yeah.
One 360 camera that is great for photos is a Ricoh Theta X.
Hmm.
The best value is an Insta 360 X3 camera.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll do the final one actually, because we can't really comment on them because we don't know anything about them. Is that they reckon that the best, according to Wired, best overall 360 camera is the Insta 360 X4 360 camera, to give it its full name.
Yeah.
and,
I mean,
and that.
I mean, you're looking at $425 for that one, which is what, about 370, 370
Yeah.
pounds, something like that. My
Yeah.
conversion's not the best, but yeah, I mean, it's the best part of 400 quid basically,
Yeah.
for one of these. So I'm sure they make great gifts. Um, I love the best value one is still about 300 odd pounds. So
Yeah.
you know,
I know. They're not
it's
cheap. You do have to think about them, don't you?
yeah,
So
they are. So if you're gonna, I mean, they can make a gift if that's your budget, and you know someone will like it. It'd be a lot of fun. Um, Maybe not for a pro photographer unless you particularly heard them wanting one. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, there we go. So if you're interested in that, according to Wires, the best overall 360 camera is the Instax 350 times 4 360 camera. That's the one to go.
Okay.
All right,
Right.
moving
Good
on.
stuff. Okay, Mark. So cameras on planes. It's like that film, Snakes on
On a
Planes.
plane. I've had enough of these MFing cameras on this MFing plane. Yeah.
Do you know? I don't watch films that have got to do with plane disasters. I have seen them, right? But like Snakes on a Plane and all of that. I can't watch any of that nonsense.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it is nonsense. I mean, snakes on a plane. Anyway, everyone's
So
seen that film though. This is the classic thing, apart from you, obviously. But everyone seems to have seen that film. It's amazing. Anyway,
yeah. So I think now the last time. Now I've not taken a plane professionally since 29. When did we go into lockdown for COVID? It was the same year.
2020. Was it March 2020?
Okay, so 2020. So in January, I had a flight to Thailand where I took camera gear professionally, but I've not, and I think regulations have changed since then. But you've been more recently because you've been to Berlin, haven't you, the last 2 or 3 years? So what are your thoughts on taking planes, cameras on a plane?
Cameras on a plane. So, I mean, well, what prompted us to talk about this was an article on f-stoppers, and I think what I've done is slightly different to what the article the article author, the author of the article has done. So all the sort of really expensive stuff that could fit in my backpack, I took on the plane. And because it was a European flight, I think we were on something like EasyJet or Ryanair. I can't remember which one it was. So but as you can imagine, it wasn't a long haul flight, and therefore space is at a premium with these flights, because most people just take not a lot of people take a bag, do they? So I had to take studio equipment. I wasn't taking backgrounds because that was already on a pallet, so that was already there. But I had to take my lights and my stands. They annoyingly had to go in the hold. I wasn't happy about it.
Okay,
But
yeah.
being the type of flight it was, there's no way I could have my that bag with my lights in, as well as all my other bags in the cabin. That it just wasn't happening with the flight that we had. I guess we could have paid extra for it, but that wasn't up to me. That was up to GA, and it obviously wasn't done. So yeah, the lights had to go in the hold. Now I did pad it out. I mean, it's got a nice padded bag anyway. So it's a bag in a bag, and I think I put my clothes all around it, so it was all nice and padded as well. Um, and as far as any breakages concerns, not received any breakages. Um, but nevertheless, my lenses and the camera and all those bits and pieces were with me in the cabin. There's absolutely no way that was going in the hold. How about you? I know it's a while ago, but
Yeah, it was actually. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually have to take that much stuff with me, because strange enough, when I went to Thailand, I was there working with some photographers from Thailand. So I basically just took a camera body, a battery, and a bag, and I just kept it with me. So I didn't actually have to take that much stuff. And I did go to the US, but that was God, that's got to be almost 20 years ago. And I remember I had to check some equipment in just because I was overweight,
yeah.
just trying to carry it on hand. So you've always got that. But it is, I mean, the best advice is just to, I know it sounds obvious, you're going to hear it all the time, but check your airline regulations,
Yeah.
and make sure that you take the equipment that you need. Don't pack your bag with just stuff that's just unnecessary. I know this sounds like obvious sort of advice, but
It's good advice because I overpack. I
I
do
know,
overpack.
and that's why I'm mentioning it, Mark, because I know that if that you would most likely be overweight. Okay,
I beg your pardon.
yeah, yeah. Okay, your luggage would be overweight.
Yeah.
Also, the mine would be. Let's just say, because I know you'd pack everything, including the kitchen sink. Now, there's a
Well,
reason for that,
yeah,
because then
there
you've got
is a reason for
everything
that.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay, which I totally get. But at times that you can just chuck things out away. Now,
Yeah.
it's worth also considering that if you go somewhere, let's just say like you went to Berlin, Mark, okay, the
Mm.
last time you went. Now, somewhere like Berlin, you're going to be able to get a hold of anything and everything that you need, and hiring equipment and sometimes can work out better and more convenient if you can lose it in the cost with your client. So there's nothing going that there's nothing wrong with doing that if you can,
Yeah.
because hiring stuff doesn't have to be that expensive. It's a good way of
Mm.
traveling light, not having any problem at all.
Mm.
So it's an option that's worth considering. So before you go anywhere, check hire options, and
Yeah.
it might save you. It might save you a ton of money. It might save you a ton of weight problems and having to carry gear, and you got a bag here and a bag there, and your shoulders are killing you, and all of that. You want to get to your shoot arriving fresh, don't you? And then
Yes,
of
you
course
do.
you've always got to get back.
And also contingencies as well, because the last Berlin trip that I had didn't exactly go swimmingly when it came to.
Here's a story.
There is a story. We're not going to go into too much of it, but basically, where did we leave from? It was Stansted, wasn't it? I think
That's
we
right.
left from
Yeah.
Stansted, and there was something wrong with the computers. It's an absolute pandemonium in Stansted at the time, and we were told to leave our bags in this bit where there's all these other bags were. And at the time, I was like, I'm not too sure about this, because you kind of you check yourself in now, don't you? It's you don't take it to the person behind the desk and then put it on the conveyor belt and it disappears. You weigh it yourself, you put the thing on yourself, and then you put it in this area. And so lo and behold, when we arrived in Berlin, our bags that were in the hold did not arrive with us, which was a pain. Now we managed to get everything in time. There was another flight that came out afterwards, and they took our bags with them, and they came to the airport in the end. But I have to say, we were thinking about, well, what are we going to do if we can't do it? And I have to say, we were just thinking, well, we're just going to have to shoot everything with our flash guns, because we had our flash guns with us. The backgrounds were already there. We just wouldn't be able to do the studio lights, and yeah, that was basically it. So we did have a contingency, but also you have to not be rude or aggressive, but you do need to be assertive because people at airports have a lot on. It's not their problem when
Mm.
it obviously is. To be fair, the guys at Berlin Airport were great. There was obviously a language barrier, but some people weren't dealing with it right. You've got to be firm, you've got to be calm and concise so you can get your message across.
Okay, so this is Sony's second shout out of this news story episode. Okay, so
Yeah.
The Sony A7 III, which I've got three of, and
Yeah.
which is an amazing camera. I just only use it for video. Has hit its lowest ever price. Okay, now I think this is quite remarkable because this camera now is just under £1,000. Okay, and we say just under £1,000. It's just under £1,000. It's 999, and it's the lowest price ever.
I've not,
And
yeah, never
yeah,
seen it at that price before. So
it's such a good deal.
yeah, it is such a good one. And I don't think this is, I'm not sure if this is a Black Friday thing either. I know Black Friday's been and gone now, but I don't think this is a Black Friday thing. So do have a look at it because if you are a Sony user and you need even if it's just a second camera and you're thinking about getting it, now's probably the time to get it because
Yeah, because there are updates. Some people might think, "Oh no, it's too old and whatever." But you know what? We still use it for video, and it's
mm,
such a good camera. And if you're thinking of moving to mirrorless, you're thinking of or changing to Sony or whatever, just go for it. That price, the
yeah,
Sony A7 III is absolutely incredible at that price. And at
yeah,
that point, Mark, let's grab a quick drink.
absolutely.
Okay, Mark. So,
Yeah.
selfies.
Selfies. So, I mean, I'm never a fan of selfies. We always tend to complain about selfies, but in this case, well done, the selfie. So, how a series of selfies led to a killer's conviction. So, on Wednesday, which was we don't last Wednesday, I'm guessing. Jose Ibarra was found guilty of a murder of 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley. So Riley was murdered while she was out on a run on the University of Georgia campus in Athens. So on the campus, you always think the campuses are really safe, don't you? But yeah, for that to happen, that's crazy. But so it was campus in Athens, Georgia, on the morning of February 22nd, 2024. During the trial, prosecutors argued that Ibarra killed Riley after she fought off his attempt to rape her. Um, so I think he's got a life imprisonment without parole, which is exactly where he should be. He was convicted of 3 accounts of felony murder and counts of malice murder, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to rape, and peeping Tom in a separate incident earlier that day. So this guy's a wrong one. So last week, FBI Special Agent Jamie Hipkiss, that's a name, isn't it? Jamie Hipkiss took the stand and showed court numerous selfies taken on Ibarra's phone that showed him wearing the same clothes as the suspect seen in surveillance footage on the day of Riley's death. A few hours before Riley was killed, a man in black Adidas baseball cap and a grey sling bag was seen on CCTV footage at the door of the apartment at the University Housing Building on Rogers Road. At 6:52 a.m., the man peeped into the apartment window of a University Georgia student and tried to open her door repeatedly. The student called the police and said the man outside the door had ducked. Campus security footage showed Ibarra had been wearing the same clothes in a selfie taken early in that morning in the days before. So basically, this guy's taken a load of selfies and he's basically incriminated himself because the CCTV footage of him wearing these outfits have been linked to to his account.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's such a sad story, really, because obviously
someone's died. Yeah.
someone's died, but it's just, I sort of laughed there because just the ridiculousness of it, as well.
Yeah.
That it's just, yeah. I mean, at least on selfies, everyone's doing selfies,
Yeah.
and it just some people need to be a little bit more careful, shall we say?
Well, I mean, to be honest, if you're going to commit crimes like this, because don't be careful because we want to catch you. But apparently his selfies were also linked to surveillance footage that filmed 15 minutes after Riley's smartwatch showed that her heart stopped beating. This footage was captured at 9:45 in the morning. From one of Abara's neighbor's surveillance cameras showed a man wearing the same outfit that Abara wore in his selfies, throwing a jacket stained with Riley's blood into a blue recycling bin near his home. When he dumps the jacket in the bin, the man is seen wearing a distinct pattern t-shirt. The FBI agent argued that the clothing worn by the man seen throwing out his victim's bloodstained clothing was consistent with the t-shirt seen in Ibarra's selfies earlier that day. Ibarra is also seen wearing navy blue jackets in another photograph he took of himself hours before Riley's murder. And then goes on to say, when we review the surveillance footage and we see him removing the navy blue jacket, stuffing it into the recycling bin in his apartment complex, he appears to be wearing the exact same shirt there. So, yeah, basically, he's basically convicted himself, which is...
That's right, yeah, yeah.
So
sad story, though, as we said, so...
It is a very sad story.
Yeah, okay. And sorry, Mark. I
No,
was going
all
to
right.
say, yeah, sad story. But okay, so moving on. Now, I'm not an Apple user. I'm not a phone user, but I may well be very soon. And there has been something that's we picked up on Wired, and it says where an Apple Photos glitch, which has now been fixed, is a reminder that digital bits of your life will live on forever.
Yeah.
Now, recently, an alarming complaint popped up from iPhone users. This was on Reddit and other places as well, where old photos, long since deleted, had resurfaced in their Photos app. It said vacations, nudes, concerts, all unexpectedly returned like an unwelcome pet cemetery cat. It says today, okay, this is very recently, today Apple finally acknowledged that the bug and pushed out a fix. But the incident underscores the forgotten truth of memories in the digital age. Deletion is a myth, or at the least, a very little white lie. So, are your pictures that you're taking, that you're deleting, have they really been deleted? So, what are you taking pictures of? What are you taking pictures of that you shouldn't be taking, and are you deleting them because they could very well be found?
Well, I mean, first of all, as long as it's legal, you can take any picture you want with your phone. I mean, it's your phone; it's up to you. So this idea of not been,
Bearing in mind, it's not just a phone, because on a camera you can shoot pictures on a card and delete them, but you can actually recover a lot of pictures on recovery software. So don't forget that.
Unless that one picture you really, really need, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Of course. It's right. Yeah. I've got I've got the 150 photos that you shot, but not the 151 photos.
That we really needed. Yes. So basically, there's a thing, isn't there? When you put something on the internet, it's there forever. You can't take it back. And I guess that's the same with anything digital. You're not truly deleting things. So it's obviously something that you need to think about. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's kind of linked to the last story we did. I'm sure the police and authorities have ways of recovering information from your deleted phone.
Definitely.
So these things aren't always there. So do be careful of what you take pictures of, I guess, and videos and what you submit and all that kind of thing, because they are there forever. So yeah, just be careful, I guess. And this bug has pretty much sort of exposed it, and it happens to the Apple system. I'd imagine this deletion thing is on every system. I'm sure if you deleted a photo off your Samsung phone, you'd be able to recover it, and it's kind of still really there. I'm sure it happens. The only difference is, though, Cam, and this is a question, because we don't delete, do we? We format.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
I had read that even if you format something, if you format a memory card, you can still recover your images, or a certain amount of images. But then if you try to do that on a computer hard drive, once you've done that, then they have gone. As far as I'm aware. Okay, maybe computer expert might say differently, but I don't know whether you can format a phone. If you're going to get rid of your old phone,
return to factory settings, I guess. Is
that what it is? I think let's just say that you decide that you're going to sell your your phone and buy a new one. You think, right, okay,
Yeah.
I've deleted everything off there, deleted the apps, but have you really? Because there should be a format phone button, shouldn't there? Or is that the factory reset, as you just said? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well, are they
Mention
actually
it
are these photos actually on your phone though? Because obviously
or in the cloud. Yeah,
yeah, Apple uses a cloud system, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure if your photos are actually saved on the cloud and you delete them off the cloud. I don't
yeah.
know. It might be a bit of both. But that's what I would do if I was. I mean, I've never. To be honest, I use my phones until they're dead, and then they get chucked away or recycled or whatever it is. I don't tend to sell them on. So I guess when when you put everything to factory settings, it's taken. To be honest, we need a
Who
tech
knows?
expert for this one.
We're
But
just saying, just be careful of what you shoot.
absolutely,
Okay, so Mark, now when we talk about lenses, we talk about how the more you spend on a lens, the better the lens is going to be. And if you buy a camera, let's just say it's £2,000 camera, and you put a £150 lens on there, then there's no point in buying a £2,500 camera. But lenses come in, I was going to say, all shapes and sizes.
they do.
They're not all different shapes, but anyway. So here's a new one. It's the Hasselblad XCD 75mm f3.4p. It's a new prime lens for the Hasselblad X system.
Wow.
And it comes in. It's regarded as one of their portable series. It's one of Hasselblad's line of smaller, less expensive lenses. It comes in at a whopping $2,229. It's just a little less expensive to its relative, slightly bigger one, which is the $4,000 lens, which generally is what you would expect to pay for Hasselblad lenses. Now, there's a picture of of this new lens on the Hasselblad X2D camera, and in my opinion, the Hasselblad X2D camera is the sexiest camera that's out there on the market. It's not a retro style camera, but if I'm talking about modern styling cameras, the
it does look
Hasselblad
nice.
X2D camera is it's a sexy little camera, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, the lens looks pretty sexy as well, I have to say. I mean, it's looking very sleek and
it does.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wonder how many Hasselblad users are out there. So,
well, I mean, the thing is, the maximum aperture is nothing special, really. I mean, it's 3.4.
I know, but it's a quality of.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, I know it's a prime lens as well. But 3.4 is, I mean, for a prime lens, 3.4, I don't.
Yeah, but there's obviously a reason for that. There's obviously a reason for that, which we're not aware of. But it's a Hasselblad, so it's going to be good. It's going to be expensive, and why not? It's Christmas coming up. Mark, go out there and buy a Hasselblad.
Yeah, I don't think Father Christmas is going to be leaving one of these underneath my tree, to be quite honest with you. So yeah. But going on prices, there's a strange thing going on, isn't there? That we noticed with the Nikon camera.
Very much so.
The Nikon Z50 Mark II is on sale today, which is nothing crazy. But what is crazy is that it's now cheaper than the Nikon Z50 that it replaced. What the actual hell? This is crazy. So Nikon's latest crop sensor mirrorless, the Z50 Mark II, is now on sale with a worldwide release date of November the 21st, and at a cheaper list price than its predecessor in the UK, at least. Okay, in the US and Australia, they're pretty much the same. But over here, they're cheaper, by about 50 quid.
I know. I've used the Nikon Z50, and I think it is one of the best cameras that's out there.
Don't you?
Oh god, it's such a good camera. It's just a small camera. It's so lightweight. It's so compact. It's perfect for everyday use. It's perfect for travel photography. It's perfect for the hobbyists and serious photographers as well. Don't get me wrong. But it's such a good camera. And if you're thinking about buying mirrorless and you don't want to spend oodles of money, the Z50, and go for the Z50 Mark II, which has just come out, is great. It says it's superior, which you would expect it to be. But it says it's superior thanks to its latest Gen X Speed 7 processor, which improves the autofocus, ISO, and video performance. And the handling is vastly improved too. And the megapixels remain the same on both. It's about 20, just over 20 megapixels. But it's a camera that I would highly recommend people. If you're thinking of going out and buying one, then a mirrorless camera this weekend, and go and buy the Z50 Mark II.
But it was on Amazon, wasn't it? Where we found this this price was found. So it was Amazon that cut the price of the body to £719.
I mean that's a remarkable price for a mirrorless camera. Just go and buy two, right? Buy two at that price because they're fantastic. And Mark, okay, so we finish off with now Sony have taken over the show. This is their third. This is their third shout out.
Yes, it is. Sony announces a 28 to 70 f2G master lens. The first consists of f2 zoom lens in the E mount lineup. So if you are using the E mount range and you are looking for a new lens, a 28 to 70, I mean, I always think, we've got the 24-70, haven't we, with ours? So it's essentially the same lens. They're the workhorse lens. That's what I see them as. They're the lens you always put on first. They're the lens you use the most, and all the other lenses are sort of peripheral in comparison, really, I find. I don't know what you think there, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And I mean, the Sony G Master lenses are fantastic lenses. It's that's their sort of top end lenses. And it's if you've got a Sony, you want to spend the money on a lens, then you're not going to be disappointed with it. It's going to be fast. It's going to be quality. It's going to be designed, and the build is going to be very good. It's going to last you for many, many years. It's got everything that you're going to need on it. Do you need it? That's another thing. It's a difference between needing it and wanting it. And I think it's going to be popular. Price is coming in around sort of just over £2,500, 2,700. Something like that. So it's not cheap. And a lot of people that don't spend money on lenses are going to go, ooh, £2,700 on a lens.
Well, that's how much that's incomparable to the L lens, which you've got. So the EF 2470, that's around the 2.5 mark. It's amazing how lenses, I bought the EF version of the 2470 back in, I know it was 2008, so it's a while ago now. But it was like £1,000 cheaper at least, The lens prices have gone up quite considerably in the recent years.
Yeah, they have. And I think that what they keep doing is new lenses keep on coming out. Like we've been talking about it recently. Camera manufacturers just releasing so many cameras and so many lenses that suddenly this f2 lens comes out. And with this lens, amazing lens. And some people are going to go and buy it, but do you really need it? That's the thing. Do you really need it?
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing if you're just coming out, I felt I needed the L lens when I bought my kit because you're a pro, and if you're shooting weddings and all this, you need to have the best lens, don't you? I guess if you've already got one of these lenses, let's say you've got the 2.8 version. I don't know. Did they do a 2.8 version? Is that what this is replacing? I'm not. I
don't think it's going to replace. I don't think it's going to replace it. I think it's just sitting alongside it.
Right. So that 0.8 isn't worth spending £2,500 for. But if you haven't got this lens or haven't got a lens, you're just going to buy it, and it's going to be a great lens. So
yeah.
Sony,
you've taken over the show. So well done. All this new stuff that you're chucking out. We're saying that too many new things are coming out, but then again, saying that prices are they're also sort of price conscious as well, which is good. So, Mark, I think that's it for another thing. A bit of good news, Mark, is we got another patron who joined us this week. Okay,
so nice.
Rebecca Ellie. I'd just like to say thank you very much, Rebecca Ellie, for becoming one of the patrons. Really pleased about that. So
excellent stuff. Lovely. So we need to shout out for all our patrons then. So we've got Carl Sherville, Emily Brown, we've got Nick Payne, we got Rob Percy, Craig Chuck, Amara Zainab, Frank Case.
That's right. Yeah, and Rebecca Ellie,
And
thank
Rebecca
you.
Ellie.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening, guys. But lots of different sort of news headline stories there to get your head round.
Yeah.
And but there'll be some more coming next week. So
And also let us know on the comments. Do you prefer it just being the news headlines, or do you prefer us having like a main story afterwards? Because we're not sure which way we want to go with it.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. All right, Mark. Guys, we will see you next week.
See
Take
you at
care.
the next
Cheers.
one.
Have a great week.